Okay, all right. Well, I mean, obviously, tough day coming in here, and got together with the team this morning and went through the game and kind of continuing that process here this afternoon. Understand there's a lot of plays in the game that we need to do better. A lot of things out there that need to improve. It's got to start, with coaching. It's got to start with me. I got to fix some of the mistakes that were out there, and we're all with the team and give ourselves a chance to win. I think there's a lot of plays that everyone feels they could have done better, and the outcome would have been different. Give Kansas City a lot of credit. That's a great team. They're coached extremely well, and they got a lot of really good players out there, and they competed really hard too. So it's a tough game to walk into on a Monday, but certainly there's a lot to learn from. It's early in the season. It's just the last game of September. It's game number 4, so got a long way to go in front of us, and the big thing for us would be just to try to go back to work and improve. So. Bye week coming up is a good time for us to really go back and look at the games that we played. We're 4 games in, and most teams will take a look at those 4 games as we go forward as the breakdown when they're trying to evaluate us and see things that we've done well and things that we've done not so well. So we got to improve those things that we haven't been very good at and move forward from there and continually just try to get better as a team. And that'll be our mindset going forward. So. Like I said last night, nothing really changes as far as that's concerned. I think we got a tough team. I think we got a mentally tough team. I think they push through any situation. I don't think our team blinks. I think they kind of keep going forward, and that's great to see. But, in the end, all we want to do is win, and that's our goal. That won't change. And, starts with me, and we got to just keep pushing forward to try to do that every single week. So we're back to work here today, and we'll push through the rest of the week. So that's where we're at. What we got?
I know you guys evaluate, you split the season into quarters, kind of evaluate it that way. The bye week being where it is probably allows that even a little bit more. Just maybe quick thought of your first quarter, what you thought of it, maybe your evaluation of it.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll dive into that here more probably in the next couple of days. We're kind of really just focused on cleaning up the game from yesterday. But I think, what I've said so far, the first 4 games, I think, we've talked a lot about September football, what that looks like in the NFL. There's a lot of bad plays out there. There's some good plays and a lot of really important situational plays, and I think those are the ones that we're trying to learn from. And we've done well in some of those situations. We've done not so well in others. And, we can build off of that, but we got to really just working to eliminate the bad football, keep trying to get to good football, consistent football. And I think, the one thing for us after the first 4 games or first 4 weeks, I'd say the thing that we'll build on the most is really our process. Right now, I think we're kind of, obviously in rhythm. We understand what the week looks like. We understand what the work is that has to go in, week out in order to prepare and get ready to go. And that's really important to us is that process, being consistent, because that's how we improve and that's how we evaluate the improvement that we have through the course of the year. And, as coaches and players, we got to continually just develop. We got to develop to get better. And, certainly from that standpoint, that's what we'll take a good look at this week.
About your timeout strategy in the last minute.
Sure.
If you could just explain kind of why you took the timeouts when you did, and maybe why not have force Kansas City take a timeout by not taking timeout. Just kind of walk me through.
Yeah, some of it. Yeah, sure. Yep, I will. And some of it, is strategic, and there's reasons behind it that I probably won't dive into too much, But there was probably a course there where they got into the low red, I'll say, where maybe only one of those situations maybe could have called a timeout a little bit quicker, but really. Whether you call it on the 1st and 10 or second down situation, it doesn't really matter. You're trying to use them when you have to and then save them when you need to, knowing that we would have a couple plays on the other side of it if they did score, which they did, to try to use one to get us in a situation where we could, throw some downfield. So certainly part of that is the ball inbounds, is it out of bounds, is it complete or not, and some of those. One of the situations in particular would have been a call timeout, but it was incomplete. So that one saved us there on that situation. And then really the one they scored on after that one, that would have been another timeout situation there. So really only, as far as our philosophy with that, there was probably only one other spot where we could have called it a little bit earlier, but it just would have been flipped between a first down timeout versus a second down timeout. That's really all from that standpoint.
Not call timeout and kind of take your chances and then force them to use their last timeout more strategically? Or?
Yep, there's a lot of those situations, weren't quite there yet, but probably coming up maybe in the next 1 or 2 plays, if that had extended a little bit longer, that would have been the situation. Try to put the pressure back on them to make those decisions, absolutely. Yep.
How about the non-challenge of the pass interference? I mean, we've talked about it a lot and how rare it is.
Sure.
They're overturned. I don't know, the one in the third.
Are you talking about the carry on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think again, going through, and the league is obviously continually puts out information for us to evaluate and to go on kind of the trends and things like that, so that we're all on the same page. Certainly in that situation, saw it live, saw it on the replay. Nothing there that significantly hindered, which is the phrase that we're all looking for from that standpoint. No different than the one we challenged maybe the week before with Danny Amendola. Similar situation, similar look. So nothing really there that we thought would. Risk, the risk would have been worth it.
And I want to ask about Stafford too, the injury. I mean, weeks 2 and 3, like he didn't get sacked at all, and whatever he's dealing with the hip, the fact that he was in pain and dealing with something in week 4, I don't know, is this something that can get better through the bye week, or is it something that you're going to have to manage? I mean, is it a concern going forward, I guess, having 12 games in 12 weeks and
Sure.
the wear and tear that you can take?
Yeah, I mean, I think a month into the NFL season, I think everyone's got something that they're dealing with, and that whether they deal with it for a prolonged period of time or whether it's day to day, or sometimes maybe it's a couple weeks in and then finally turns the corner. We'll see. Everybody's a little bit different on all that. Certainly, having this opportunity now to with the bye week, to try to just get everybody a little bit of rest when we can is always helpful. But I think everybody's a little bit, from that standpoint, they've played for, NFL football games. I think everybody's kind of dealing with something. And certainly, like I've said before, he's one of the toughest guys on our team. So, he goes out every single week, shows up and works hard and does everything he can to help this team win. And, he did that yesterday too. So, but probably pretty normal from an NFL standpoint.
Both backups up yesterday, just insurance for him. Is that essentially what that was?
Really, we had some spots that kind of going into the week we thought we didn't know if we would get everybody to the game in general, from injuries and stuff like that, and where we needed some help. So kind of always in those situations where, depending on how the week's going, you're gonna keep whoever you need to have up. And I would say, where we are right now with the 2 and the 3 quarterback position on our roster, we're still evaluating in that. So we thought it'd be good to have them both for that game. Yep.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask you about a couple guys we haven't really asked you about a whole lot. Tavon Wilson had 10 tackles yesterday, and then Ashawn's been pretty active in all 4 games this year. Really pushed the pocket a few times yesterday. Just what you've seen from those 2 guys over the season.
Yep. Start with Tavon. Tavon actually had a pretty tough assignment yesterday. He had a lot of different roles, a lot of different packages, and a lot of different positions that he played. A lot of confidence in him to be able to handle kind of all those scenarios, and then even with the injury during the game, early in the game with Diggs, that he had to kind of go into more of an expanded role too and that stuff. He always prepares hard. He's extremely tough. He's very smart. And he plays fast. He plays really, really fast, and he prepares well. So someone we have a lot of confidence for in those situations that we need him, and he goes out and executes his role extremely well, whether it's defense or special teams. He's a key component to some of the special teams units that we have out there too, and really takes charge of a lot of those units and gets them ready to go. So thought he played really hard. Thought he tried to go out and execute everything that we asked him to do. And there's certainly, like everybody, I think there's plays out there that, we all wish we could have back, and he's in that category also. But from that standpoint, just, he was ready to go and worked really hard at it. So, credit to him on that. I think Ashawn's continually trying to get better. I think that's, we're 4 games in, and there's some improvement that we're seeing as we go through. And I think all those guys up front, my number one thing is pad level on both lines of scrimmage, offense and defense. And we're getting there with that, but we got to keep pushing going forward with it. Mixed him into some different looks too, kind of being where we were with the defensive tackle rotation for this game. He had some extra opportunities to go out there and show us some of that stuff, and that's great. We'll always go ahead and go off what, where we are coming out of the game, and I think he showed some good promise in some of those different looks that we had out there. So another guy worked really hard this week and was really, dialed into the different game plans that we had. So I thought that was good.
Even before Quandre went down, it looked like Tavon was set up to have a pretty big role in the game plan.
Yep.
Will Harris stepped in and kind of filled in a lot of those steps. You've got 4 safeties, pretty versatile guys. How much flexibility does that give you in the back end to really adjust and mold your scheme to week-to-week matchups?
I think, the safety position is kind of one of the critical ones, I think, in the NFL right now. And again, maybe a little bit of that plays off the multiplicity of the tight ends that we talk about all the time in the NFL. They're kind of the 2 groups, I would say, that have kind of the most variance in what they do. So I think Will, again, for a young player, prepared really hard and stepped in and really did a good job from that standpoint of filling the roles. CJ Moore had to go out there and didn't miss a beat either. Went out and performed pretty well too, and that was in a critical situation. So I think those guys are just working really hard in that room to get ready to go. I think everybody, and really all three phases just know that we only have so many guys active for the game, and if your number's called, you got to go out and perform at a high level. So it's good to see that. It's good to see that in games like yesterday, and obviously all that's great. But in the end, we're just trying to win. So I think that's kind of where our focus is right now, is how do we improve. But to those guys' credit, just being ready to go in those situations, it was good.
Talk a lot about splitting
No, go ahead.
splitting the workload in the backfield, just making sure that nobody gets too over. Carrying had 30 touches or so yesterday. I don't know, was that just the product of the game, bye week coming up, or was he showing the ability to maybe handle it a little bit more?
I think it was really just product of the game, to be honest with you. I think it was something where, he was running really well, and then, really honestly for the situation that came up where we had the swing there with the fumble on the goal line, just thought it was a confidence thing for me to get him back out there and get him going again. And I thought he really stepped up to that, to that challenge. And that was good to see out of a young player, for him to just kind of take that and want to be back in that situation and want to get going. So, and then the game was just flowing in that direction. So I thought it was good. But those other guys contributed, well in their roles too. Just, I would say that was just more of that one particular game situation.
Beyond rest and trying to, get your injuries, what is the number one thing you look for guys to take care of in the bye week?
I think the bye week, besides the health, and all that stuff, I would say it's all about self-scout for us. We're going to have a portion of it. I know everyone's going to have an eye forward, which we need to with the division coming up. But, for us, it's really about improving the things that we've not done so well in the first four. Again, kind of like I mentioned, there was, most coaches are going to go back and look at the last four games. Some might look a little bit different, and certainly now with 4 games under our belt for this season, we know those games are going to be highly scrutinized and looked at by other teams and other opponents. So those are things that we have to fix first and foremost, and that's kind of where our focus will be here immediately.
How's Hawkinson doing, by the way?
Yeah, just in protocol as far as that's concerned, but really, just normal. I mean, says he's fine and everything like that, but it'll be in that. Nope, just the protocol right now. Good.
With TJ, I mean, you look, I guess, fairly emotional in the moment.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, what's going through your head as a coach when one of your guys is down there and going through something like that?
I mean, obviously, just thinking about that player at that time in that moment, and just making sure they're okay. Care a lot about these guys. We spend a lot of time together, and the part of the game that you hate to see is when guys get hurt or guys are down on the ground like that. So, for me, it's the relationship is the first and foremost, and you forget about the game in those moments, and you just worry about the individual. That's my only focus, is just making sure he's okay and making sure that he's getting everything that he needs to at that point from attention from, our medical staff does a great job. Those guys were on it right away. So, but he was good when he, sat up, got him smile and all that stuff. So I felt better. So it was good. Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.